Good evening, everyone. It is 8:01 p.m. on a Tuesday night. Sorry, Tuesday night. I'm thinking about last week. It's a Monday night, and the gang is back. The four of us, the original Niners DNA team: Scotty, Rod, and Jono. Myself, I'm Pete at Pete D Burge on Twitter, at Jono Rosconi on Twitter. Scott and Rod not on Twitter, I don't think. No. Get on there, boys.
I got enough trouble where I am.
So our beloved team had a win today. We did what we should have done to a team like the Carolina Panthers, beating them 39. Was it 39 to 4? I can't remember.
37 to 15.
39 to 15. So
7.
Let's get some initial reactions. What did you think, Scott?
Yeah, we were just talking about it then. I was pretty happy. Obviously, the injuries are a concern, but every team goes through it, and we've been through it year after year, and we still seem to be there when the whips are cracking. So I thought defense was good, even without Bosa, without Armstead. Armstead for the whole game, Bosa for 3/4 of the game. So defense is good, and as I said before, I think our offense played well against a very underrated Panthers defense. I think they're a pretty good side. Brian Burns up the middle was really good. JC Horn, lucky for us, he went off. Was sticking to Debo. But I thought that our offense stood up today and went pretty well.
Nice one. What we'll do, I should have said, opening comments, let's try and keep it to a concise paragraph, and then we'll get into individual topics. What about you, Jono? That was good. No, that was good, Scotty.
Yeah, look, I agree. I think it was a Panthers team that has a very good. They've got a very good defensive line, and their offensive line is good as well. Like the D line stacked, like with Derek Brown. I remember he was a high draft pick. So, I think the offense probably started to click a little bit more this week, which was pleasing to see. And they went out. I thought they probably let the Panthers hang around a little bit too long. At 17-3 to end the half, you're thinking, okay, here we go. But they kind of let them back into it. But then they were able to sort of next possession go down there and score and sort of just get the job done. So I think in terms of that, you want to see them beat the team that they're clearly better than and get out of there. It would have been nice to get out of there without the injuries that they did, but, that's football.
Yeah. Rodney?
Well, I will preface any comments I say tonight that I watched the first quarter at home. I watched the second quarter in my car driving to work. My third quarter, I was teaching spelling, and the kids went to music, and I got to watch the fourth quarter in peace. So I didn't see all of the game, and with the usual focus that I give it, but I really liked what I saw. I think one of the keys to victory we mentioned last night was Jimmie being consistent and not coming out and laying an egg. And I think no picks today, even though he tried his best to give one away in the first quarter. But we managed to get away with that one. I thought, like we've talked about it, ad nauseum, our D is just so good, and they just keep us all. Whenever we get into any situation, the D just comes out and helps us. Like just before when they got that pick 6 right on halftime, beautiful piece of work. So very happy.
Yeah, we're always pretty buoyant, jubilant when we win. Okay, let's get into a few of the the topics that we want to speak about. Now I've just let me just put this on the screen. So, and I've named this Jimmie and Jeff, and to me, and I'll get your thoughts on it, boys. But those two guys were obviously our offense today. 18 from 30 for Jimmie, 253 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 109 passer rating. As you said, Rod, as you alluded to, he threw 2 or 3, maybe it was just 2 that were begging to be picked off, but I think the defensive, I think the linebackers, and I think it was the safety that it went to, the second one was just shocked that it came straight to them, so they dropped them. But interestingly enough, as we've seen, is the pattern. 8 from 10 in the first quarter, and then he was 10 from 20 for the rest of the game. So there's a drop off there. It's again, we talked about the script and Kyle's script. Heard on the TV today that he goes into the dressing sheds at halftime and re-scripts some stuff for the second half. So and then obviously our favorite player, or my favorite player at the moment, which I'm going to get I'm going to get a jersey with 22 on it. Jeff Wilson, he was phenomenal at 120, 7.1 yards per carry. So to me, those two guys shone. Just a couple. Let's go the other way around. So Rod, anything that stood out to you in regard to some of that stuff around Jimmie? Sort of starting hot and then getting a bit, and then I guess the whole. We'll get to Kittle in a minute. So, but yeah, what do you think of those stats, mate?
Look, I mean, it's been somewhat of a pattern. We start the game with our first 15 or so scripted plays, which allows him to ease his way into the game, and we all know that, and that's great. And what that opening drive we had, which resulted in the early touchdown, it's been a bit of a pattern. I think that was the first time that Carolina have been scored on in the opening drive. I think they said this in the commentary.
Correct.
21 games, broke a streak, which was fantastic. JWJ, awesome game from him. His longest run in the NFL, I think, was 41 yards. He had that today. And I think one of the things I picked up on some of the stuff I listened to today was he was also more consistent today. Like last week, he had good numbers, but most of that came from one run. Whereas this time there was consistency, and the statistics speak for themselves. 7 yards a carry, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Look at this point, we know who Jimmie is, don't we? Like that he's going to give you those one or two heart attacks as he's throwing that ball over the middle. Like that's who he is, and that's what we've become accustomed to seeing from him. What I liked today was his third down efficiency. So he was able to sort of move the chains and keep the drives going, and he had some really close window throws that were really pretty to watch. And so, I've got to give him credit. I thought he had a really good game today. I thought it was his best of the season, which is a good sign for us, because we don't. He doesn't need to be Patrick Mahomes like. He just needs to be good enough and efficient enough to get it done. For Jeff Wilson Jr., I personally can't underestimate or overstate, I guess, the impact that Tevin Coleman had today. And what I liked was we kind of gone back to the two-headed monster.
Yeah,
the two-headed monster works. And that allows Jeff Wilson Jr. to be more consistent, I guess, in the run game, where he's not just chewing off a big run. Like Tevin Coleman, although his stats weren't pretty, I think he had 8 carries for 23 yards. It was him in the pass game. He had three catches. One was outstanding that probably shouldn't have been thrown to him against a defensive back, but he went up there and grabbed it. 3 catches for 44 yards in the pass game. And he just complimented Jeff Wilson Jr. so beautifully. And I think, I went into this game thinking, Kyle Shanahan's just locked in on Jeff Wilson Jr. and that's the one guy. And he kind of surprised me by splitting the carries a little bit. I know Jeff had 17 and 8, but that's 25 carries kind of split across. And I just thought the two-headed monster was back, and I loved it.
And we got up to that 25 mark again. So it was 2019, the last couple of games. Before I get to you, Scotty, I've got here on the game stats. If anyone doesn't know out there, you can, and you guys probably know this, but when you go to the box scores on NFL.com, there's a little spot down the bottom where you can download the stat sheets. Have you seen those? Yeah, they're fantastic. There's so much information you can get. But Brock Purdy had an attempt at a rush. Did anyone see that?
No, I didn't. I saw that there, and I thought I must have missed something at the end.
He's on the stat sheet. And the other thing too is I would have loved.
Maybe he went out there and took a knee.
There you go. Sorry, I'm taking up your time, Scotty. You go, mate.
No, well, I think we mentioned this earlier that I would have liked to have seen Purdy in the last drive of the game. Leading up to that, I think that's the perfect opportunity. The game's in the bag. We give him the shot there just to just to get some reps under his belt, and then they just bring him in to take a knee. I don't get that. That sort of stuff does my head in. Like, well done, mate. You just went out there and took a knee. Good job.
Yeah, that gets you ready for the NFL.
Yeah, I totally agree with Coleman. I can't believe what our other friend Eddie said. Mate, I'm happy to see the old blokes run around, and the younger guys are going to make mistakes. They're going to have fumbles. They're going to make errors. The guys like Coleman and Jeff Wilson's now pretty. He's experienced too. I think that works really well. And I thought Coleman had some really good carries today at times when we needed them. There's a couple of things. I just made a couple of points here while I was writing it down, and I think we've touched on it, so I won't go much into it. But the fact that Jimmy's stats, we do get a lead, and then we like to just crawl back into our shell. We don't expose them further. We seem to just, all right, we've got a lead. Now let's just try and control the game rather than go for the jugular and really have a crack. Today, I felt that he had a lot more time. I think that the offensive line really stood up well and gave him more time in pocket. I was watching him going, mate, he's got so much more time than he has the last few weeks. And I think that assisted him in making better decisions. And I think that's just them all working as a team, a unit better. And the other thing I'll mention, I think I've heard this in the commentary about that the defensive line of the Panthers is the only team this year that's had the same 5 linemen the whole game. For the whole season starting. So no injuries. They've been a unit for the whole year, and for our offensive line to stand up against that, I thought that was a pretty good effort. I'm pretty sure that's a stat I heard that they were.
Yeah. Well, I think
and they get upfield. They get upfield real well.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of teams have the rotational depth. Well, that's kind of not the right conjugation for that sentence, but they don't have the benefit of having the depth, so they can rotate their O-line. So I was hearing some commentary today that, and you know what? It was our man. It was my man, Mr. Cone, saying that Bosa went off and we didn't really miss him. And what did we miss him? Like Drake Jackson was pretty good. We still pressured them.
He's got the second leading sacks of all rookies.
Yeah, he's good, man.
Yeah, he's behind. He's behind Hutchinson. Hutchinson's got 3. He's got 2, and Hutchinson's had something like 110 more snaps than him.
Yeah.
So, well, I also say I've got a, you guys know I'm a card collector. I've got a Jeff Wilson auto somewhere here, and I think I've got in a pile I was just going to use as giveaways. I think I might have to drag it out. I think I might keep that one.
Value's trending up, mate.
He used to, mate, look, yeah, I'm a massive fan. As I said, I'm going to get his jersey. The other thing I wanted to mention, Kyle is a conservative coach, but if I'm pragmatic and I guess mature enough to look back on my own behaviour over the first 2 weeks, I was losing my mind thinking, oh man, this is just terrible, sacking, blah, blah, blah. You guys were obviously, and not saying that. But yeah, look, they started, as we discussed in the preview, week 5, things are starting to gel, complimentary football. But the thing that surprised me is this. Kittle, if I'll just put up a little stat here, and it's not hugely, but in the first quarter, 4 targets, 42 yards, caught them all, and then do you know how many he had after the first quarter?
Maybe one more.
That's close.
And he dropped it. Sorry, it was 5 he got, and he fumbled it. And I don't know if that's Kyle going, up, that's it. Because he can be like that, right? You fumbled it, that's it, no more ball for you. I'm shutting you down. But anyway, what were your thoughts on that? I'll throw to Jono first this time. Your thoughts on just it was almost like he was the only guy that Jimmy was locking onto.
Yeah. I mean, early on, and that was the way that it looked, and it reminded me of 2018, and it was good to see, and it was something that we'd sort of spoken about, and I'd hoped would come to fruition was that Kittle would sort of get himself involved. I mean, they spoke about it all week that they wanted to get him involved in the game, so it was good to see. The fumble, like that just kind of comes. There's multiple people crashing in on a player, and they can punch that ball out. I think it's his second fumble in his career, so it's not something that happens all the time. So it was a bit unfortunate for him to go down there. And I think, I don't know. I mean, we talk about does that put him in the doghouse doing the fumble? But it's I think it's probably more about the chess game around. We're targeting him early, so we're going to sort of draw the attention to that kind of over the middle or to where George Kittle is, and now we're going to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Just when you think that you're going that way, going this way, we're going that way. So it was good to see. I'm glad that George is back and involved in the game because I love him, and I thought he had another trend. The worm is climbing again for him in terms of his gameplay.
You can see the strategy. Can't you, from Kyle? It's all becoming. The book is opening, and it kind of doesn't make sense. But anyway, the other thing I wanted to mention, I thought BA was huge. I think we've got to go to him more. I'm a little bit dark because my bet, we'll talk about more exclusively the bets in our next best bet show. But yeah, he didn't get the end zone for me. But he's slight, but he gets that yak. He bumps off guys. He gets right. He puts himself in a position to catch the ball. So Rod, what's your thoughts on Kittle and BA?
Well, I've been banging on about Kittle for a long time now, and how frustrated his being used as a blocker. And I understand that it's part of the scheme, and how effective he is. And we spoke about this last night, moving people against their will. But it's just great to see him get his hands on the footy today, and we talked about it in the chat, which I think is fantastic. Just back to those stats there, though. That Pete, the BA. I think Jono, was it you mentioned, or Pete, last night in the preview show that you were looking for a breakout game from BA today. Now, 58 yards and 4 targets isn't a breakout game, but it's certainly a trend in the right direction.
100%.
And I thought he played really well today. And Jennings, that beautiful third down where he took the ball and still had work to do, and he put the shimmy on that. The defender, I don't know the defender's name, I'm sorry, but it was probably during spelling. And just he just made him look silly. Number 24, I think it was. He was left him clutching at straws and got the third down. That was fantastic.
He's better than when KB left us, old Kendrick Bourne left us. I was upset and thought that it was a mistake, but Juwan has just really stepped into his shoes and more, because he does get the yak. BA is just he takes the ball and gets hit. Over to you, Scotty. What's out of those three guys? What was some of the comments you had?
Yeah, I'm an Ayuk fan. I've liked him and since he came in the league. I thought correct me if I'm wrong, there was pretty much a sitter that he should have had today that he dollied.
Back shoulder?
Yeah, I think he really should have had that one, which I don't know if that put a bit of an effect on his what do you call it, momentum, or his
usage.
Yeah, but I thought he was okay. I need him to be better because he's in my fantasy team, so he needs to do more. I think, and the other thing with Kittle, I think using him and Juice sort of as a double threat, one going one way, one going the other way. You normally find if one's blocking, the other one's somewhere free. I thought they worked a bit better today to find those loose men. And there are times when they're both in blocking. Like, I love Juice. I think Juice is awesome, and Kittle too. I mean, I've got helmet, jersey, everything Kittle signed. So, but yeah, I thought it was better today. I think for his birthday, we got him a couple of balls. So work on it, move on, and see how he goes next week.
Yeah. All right.
His best carry was the one where they threw the flag, where it was just good old Kittle carrying like 7 blokes down to the line.
Right.
Out came the flag.
Got brought back.
But yeah.
What was this flag for again? What was it?
Holding, I think.
Holding.
In the line.
I wanted just to bring up both sides of the ball, and I guess this complementary thing that that's been discussed, and that was our offensive line only allowed 2 sacks, which there was a clean sheet last week, but 2 sacks against I think a better defensive line. They were able to garner, they were able to garner 5.3 yards per carry, meaning that their blocking, their scheme allowed us to get up the field a lot more. And the defense only holding those guys, especially with Christian. How strong is Christian McCaffrey?
Yeah.
He's phenomenal.
Love him.
And then we got 6 sacks and interception, and then special teams, 2 40-plus yard kick returns, and which caused the injury to Gould. So there's a saying in golf, there's 3 parts. You're driving, your short game, and you're putting. If you do 1 or 2 okay, you'll go all right. Those 3 parts of the game, we did 2 really well, did 1 really shit house, and it kind of showed. Anyone jump in? What's your thoughts on the 3 factors? All the 3 designations of our team.
Reminds me a bit of last year when we were 3 and 5, and one week the defense would come out and brain it, then the next week the offense would come out and brain it, and then the next week the special teams would win us the game. But none of us were playing. None of the 3 facets of the game were playing complementary football and supporting each other. So that's just a little thing that I was thinking about when I was thinking about how bad our special teams were today.
Well, they were, Rod. They were awful today. And this is something that we invested pretty heavily in the off season to improve, and there's a consistent theme like that line for special team wins protecting kicks. Can't do it. Like we've had two blocked kicks at goal. Like you just can't have that.
No,
you can't have that. And I'm not going to put the missed kick from Mitch Wisniewski where he had to come in because Robbie gets hurt, because Robbie should be out there kicking the ball, because the coverage unit should be down there making the tackles, not having Robbie in the last line, putting his body in harm's way. So to me, that's the big red flag for me at the moment. That's the big bad that I'm taking away from this game, is that and it hasn't got better, it's gotten worse over the 5 weeks, and that's a problem, because I don't want to get to playoff time and have what happened, what we did to the Packers in the block down at the tundra, in the frozen tundra. Like you're not like that will kill you, and that's awful. And like they need to fix it.
Yeah. Imagine being a Packers fan that night.
I was with a Packers fan.
Well, yeah.
And I just waved him out of my house.
Tell you what, the Packers fan I saw this morning wasn't real happy either.
No.
I'll back the
Giants. We'll see. That was one of my bets was take the Giants at the line, and they ended up
$3.80 they'll pay.
A Giants the worst. A Giants the worst 4-1 team ever.
Yeah. But you know what? Brian Daboll's a good coach. He's the guy who developed Josh Allen. Was part of the team that developed Josh Allen. He was offensive. When I was in my crazy stage at the start of the season, I was like, let's get Daboll over here. But yeah, I think he's a great, a phenomenal coach. And just a quick aside, did you see what Kyle Murray did today to miss that first down?
Slid early,
and then
cousin
get the first
Kyler.
down. I reckon it's almost like he did it on purpose to Cliff. So for you, Jono, so they had 45 seconds to go. They needed to get into field goal range to tie the game, so they go into overtime. All he had to do, so he did a read option. All he had to do was get to the first down line, so then he could spike it again to set up the kick. He slid too early, and then he didn't have the opportunity. So I think that was the 4th down, wasn't it?
He spiked it anyway.
And that's right.
Didn't give him 2 chances of the cherry.
And he used up his last, and so that was it. And Cliff Kingsbury was on the sideline losing his mind.
Yeah, so he took it on the second down. He took it on the second down, slid early, didn't
That's
make it,
right.
then went and spiked it, cost them the third down, and then they had no choice but to go for field goal with their
And he
poor
missed
field
it.
goal kicker,
That's
who was
right.
being jagging them right the whole day. They showed all the replays of his practice kicks and stuff. He just stuffed it, which isn't. I like Kyler. He's my cousin, so he's not really, but yeah. But I was really, one thing I was impressed with today. I'm a Christian McCaffrey fan, always have been. And
Yeah, he's phenomenal, man.
I got a lot of his stuff. I thought we handled him pretty well. All in
He's
all,
so strong and so quick.
And he's only little. He's not that big. I don't think he'd be much bigger than me. But yeah, just the strength on him, and yeah, I like to see him injury free because I think he's one of the best in the game. So I thought we did pretty well to handle him. And Baker, poor bugger, he had no chance today.
No. Well, let's before we get to injuries. Speaking of Baker, like his arm's okay. You know, it's that there's not too many dissimilarities. I mean, look, I think Jimmy's got. Well, look, I think they're pretty similar in some ways. You know that he's got a lot better team around him, Jimmie, and he ended up throwing the pick six, and obviously Jimmie threw a couple of dodgy balls, but yeah, he's heard something today that that Matt Rule will not be coaching this weekend, and Baker Mayfield will be calling college football next year. So I don't know if that's going to be true.
There was some, I read something that Christian McCaffrey was pretty unhappy at the end of the game, and I don't know whether that's probably not to do with just what happened today. It's probably just compounding what's happened over the first 5 weeks, and he's just kind of
We should give him a call.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we talked about that last night, Scotty, on who we're bringing in.
Yeah. But on the side of injuries, though, like it just seems like they get these players back on this artificial surface, and it just seems to cause problems. And like the players are speaking out about it enough to warrant. You would hope that something comes about it from the NFL owners or the NFL itself around, trying to get these. I mean, it's the statistics are just too strong in the favor that these surfaces are just causing major issues for players.
There'd have to be, if you'd be able to pull up those stats pretty easy, though, right?
Yeah.
To see where the injuries are coming from. But I had a thought today, and because I'm a bit slow, so I just thought, we rack our brains as to why these injuries are occurring and stuff. And I posted on Twitter that I think it's just the physicality of the way that we play. Obviously, like someone falling on Trent Williams, someone falling on Trey Lance, that sort of stuff you can't help when there's bodies flying around. But especially the way how hard we run and how hard we hit is, I think, a definite contributor to the injury toll. What are your thoughts, boys?
100%. That's right. We're an extremely physical team, but that's what other teams fear. We lose that physicality, then we might as well just go to the back of the pack and play to maybe get into the playoffs. So we need to keep that. And other players need to step up when there's injuries. So
So to recap, we've got Emmanuel Moseley. Apparently, it's a ACL. They haven't confirmed it yet. Robbie Gould contusion on the knee because of that kick return that the special teams allowed. Bosa, groin, wasn't he? He had something like that in high school. He was high school, he had a groin.
Or the abductor I think he had coming through college. But I've heard he said he'd be right. He said he's going to be. It's just tightness, and he'll be right next week.
Yeah.
And then Jimmie Ward lined up at outside linebacker on the first snap and breaks his hand.
Do you reckon
that outside linebacker?
Do you reckon they put the club on it?
That's what the talk has been. They'll put a club on it, but he's the sort of guy that.
Well, don't worry. I mean, what's a broken hand? Maybe 3-4 weeks.
Yeah, look, it could be a little metatarsal or something. I don't know. I guess we'll get on when Kyle does his conference call tomorrow. But he's a guy that does take intercepts. So,
do we need him at the moment?
Yeah, I don't think we need to stress too much about Jimmie. He's kind of like he's. It's nice. It would be nice to have him, But
He's a
at
bonus.
this point, yeah, just
So who's
get
going
right.
to come in? Who's going to come in for Jimmy? So is it Womack?
Oh, for E-Man.
E-Man.
Yeah, I think they've got a couple of options there. They could probably push Diomino Lenore out to outside corner and then bring Womack into the slot. That's an option. How far Jason Verrett's away? I don't know. I wouldn't want to put him. I wouldn't like to start him next week. I don't think that's worth rushing at this point. I'd probably like to see Jason Verrett maybe starting in about, if we can get through this game, and then do we have the bye after Falcons, or do we have one more? Do we come back
we've
against
got
Kansas
Rams,
City?
and then we've got
Rams.
We've got a while, mate. We got Falcons, Rams, Kansas City.
Okay.
Yeah.
So sometime
City.
around Rams, Kansas City, I'd like to see
Yeah.
Verrett get a little bit more snap action. But yeah, I'd say they'll go with Demo and Womack, in my opinion.
And the other thing too is someone was saying today that Trent Williams was jogging lightly today. Did you hear that?
That's a pretty sight.
I saw him walking out with the team. He was dancing along with Debo, as he often does when they walk out, and he didn't seem to be in too much discomfort.
Did you see all of Debo's family there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not an injury. I don't know whether we want to talk, but Debo, he had a shocker today. He had an absolute shocker. And I know he's a South Carolina boy, and I think he probably put so much emphasis on him playing well in front of his friends and family and back home in Carolina that he was off. It was almost his head was moving before his hands had got hold of the ball.
Totally.
Yeah, and the dropsies were back, and that's probably his Achilles heel. If he has one, it's the fact that he's got some drops in him.
He does. He killed my multi. What I'm gonna do next week.
Send in the receipt, mate.
Oh no, next week we'll
You can afford it, Pete.
when we I'm gonna take the singles, and I'm gonna multi him up with a lesser, how greedy, going for the 11 grand payout. But yeah, so look, with Drake Jackson will replace Bosa. Well, actually, no, sorry, you said.
Well, if
John,
Bosa's not good to go, Jackson can get in there.
Yeah.
So they've got rotation there.
Yeah, and I look, as you were saying, Scotty, too. The next man up stuff, and we've got the depth there that I think we'll be okay. I'm not super concerned. Anyone else super concerned?
Only that our record against the Falcons in recent years hasn't been great.
Okay,
So you have to mention it.
Sorry.
Let's go. Let's go to the Falcons.
Yeah, what's interesting is that Falcons just traded Deion Jones to the Browns. So they just lost. They just traded away their middle linebacker.
Why?
The week before we're going to play. So
Does that mean they're going to try and get some? Like that means they're looking to get someone.
No, I think they're clearing the books. This is the rebuild.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
They're looking to tank.
Because Mariota
and Kyle Pitts didn't play this week with a hamstring. So whether he's good to go next week as well. Like they're down on troops, and they just traded away probably one of their better defenders.
I'm a massive fan of Kyle Pitts. One of the things that a few of the Niners commentators were talking about is that if we weren't going for trailer, if we weren't going for a QB, Kyle Pitts would be the first one we'd take. He's a Niners player, right? He's big, he's strong, he's a great replacement for Kittle when Kittle eventually moves on. They took a quarterback, didn't they? The Falcons who's their backup? Because they got Mariota now.
Franks.
Not
He's got
Felipe. Franks.
Felipe. No, they took one this year. Ritter.
Yeah, Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter.
Yeah, but they took Drake London as well, so they're going to play. He's a big, tall guy like Kyle Pitts. Like the idea was they're going to play sort of tall ball, put the ball up there, make them play basketball, get up there and rebound it. So
Drake London out of USC.
Yeah, I think he was.
Yeah. Yeah, look, it's one of those games. To repeat again, it's almost like but we got to look at the records.
Yeah,
of
USC.
Yeah, where'd he go? USC.
He was from USC.
Yeah,
he's right there.
Yeah. He look at the Bears. They've got a record of what 3-2. Yeah. The Bears have got a record of 3-2.
Yeah.
Or was it? Yeah. Rams 3-2. Bears 2-3.
Rams 2-3.
2-3. I guess what I'm getting to is we haven't beaten much. Like, what are the three best teams in the NFL at the moment? The Bills.
In terms of record.
Well, not in terms of record, just in terms of what are the three best?
You're
going, probably
going Bills,
the Eagles,
Chiefs,
Bucks,
Cowboys,
Chargers.
Cowboys.
Oh,
Chiefs.
Ravens have been going all right.
Did you see that last drive from
Lamar?
Oh, he's so good. He's so good.
He got the wheels. He got the wheels on, and Lamar just did his thing.
You know who I think should be doing some workouts?
What's his rookie kit?
Yeah.
You know, I think he should be doing some workouts with over the summer. Trey Lance is Lamar Jackson, because of the way that he does those read options. They're perfect.
Yeah, it's not so much the way, like you're not looking for him to replicate the way that Lamar moves, because there's no Lamar, but just the way that he reads and pulls it and sort of disguises what he's going to do.
Anything else, boys, before we jump off? We're obviously we're all pretty happy. We're all pretty relaxed tonight, as you can see. We're 3-2. We're atop of the NFC West, with obviously the Cardinals going down, the Rams getting beat with a backup QB by Dallas. So things are looking pretty sweet. It's just a matter of week.
And Seattle going down. It was a great day for the NFC.
Yeah, great day for us.
Great day.
3-2.
We've got the game jump on everyone, and we've got when we hold in the 2-0 division record against everyone. So we're in a strong position. At the end of the day, you just got to win your division, don't you?
Yeah,
That's it.
That's what we got to do. And
boys, I don't know how Pete. Sorry, I don't know how he panned out on statistically, but I thought Warner was huge today, flying around the field.
Mate, Warner, I'll tell you, Warner.
He had a sack. He got himself real small in between a couple of guards to bust through for some tackle for losses. He was great today. It was probably his best game of the season.
I think
it was his best game of the season. You're on it. Just a couple of things, boys. Going on our third down conversion, which was pretty good. I think it was 58%. Yeah, 58%. I'm just trying to find his tackles. Final team statistics. Where is he? Fred Warner. Yeah, 7 tackles. So he did the most tackles. For loss 2. So yeah, he topped the tackle count, as we say in NRL.
Captain material, absolute captain.
Made a beautiful one in the backfield, and then he made another one in the middle of field. Then straight away, 2 in a row, he made one on the sideline the next play.
Yeah.
He jammed Christian McCaffrey on one of them. I was like, yes, there it
nailed
is.
him.
He's the one guy that doesn't get injured.
You've done it, Pete.
Touch wood. Touch something.
God. Touch your head, mate.
Yeah, no, we don't want him injured, because he's the brains, mate. He's and I just thought that today, again, D'Amico with his schemes, responding to on the fly. He's a guy that can think on his feet, right? So out of the two coordinators, who do you think did a better job? Ryan's. Yeah. I think
I saw a great tweet that like Jesus turned water into wine, and D'Amico Ryans turned a blocked field goal kick into a pick 6.
And he was pretty happy about it on the sideline.
He was yawing.
Have you noticed how they've got a guy there that is with these coaches, holding them back from going on, because they're not allowed on the field?
Yeah.
Hasn't that been your job? That would be a good job. So what do you do for it? What's that?
McVay has one of them specially assigned. It's just come on, mate. No, back you come.
What do you do for a job, mate? Oh, I just stand on the sideline and stop a guy from running onto the field.
They're wranglers.
Oh, it'd be the best.
Coach wranglers. They also get him out of the way from the camera when the camera's charging down the sideline.
Yeah. Well, gents, let's get together again very soon. What I'd like to do is if you guys can, I'll have a look too at some specific plays that we can sort of have a look at and break down a little bit, and we'll do that. We'll have our best bets show. We might even do another winning formula just to look at the personnel that Kyle has been using again, because again he spread his except for the first quarter, he used his personnel quite well, and it's a win. We're 3-2, top of the NFC West, going Niners.
Going Niners.
Absolutely.
All right, boys. Well, I'll say end broadcast, and I'll see you